Hello everybody, Darren here again. Nice to meet you all last week. This is week 2, the Applied Behavior Analysis course for Registered Behavior Technicians, week 2. So this week is module 2, which is going to be measurement in applied behavior analysis. Measurement is very important for a lot of reasons. In behavior analysis, first and foremost, we are scientists. In the scientific method, we measure things, and we look for measured change. These are our RBT task list items that we're going to be talking about this week, including data collection, different measurement procedures, both discontinuous and permanent products, data and graphs, and describing behavior in the environment in observable and measurable terms. So these are our key terms: continuous measurement, discontinuous measurement, permanent products, graphs, and then the observable and measurable ways of looking at behavior. So continuous measurement means we measure from the beginning until the end. So there are two different ways we can do that. We can measure frequency, which is occurrences of behavior per time interval, often done per minute, like for instance, or per 5-minute interval on a functional analysis. By duration, which is how long the behavior lasts, so from start to finish, how long does the behavior happen. So discontinuous measurement, where we measure a little bit here, a little bit there, and then we kind of add up everything at the end. So we look at partial interval. That's where we record the behavior, and if the behavior happened at any time during that interval, we put a mark down. That tends to overestimate behavior. We have whole interval. We look at the whole interval, and if the behavior happened during the entire time, then we mark it down. That underestimates the behavior. Then we have momentary time sampling, which is a little bit more advanced. We also have permanent products. This is measuring the result of how many times a client or patient does the behavior by looking at something posthumously. So look at a math worksheet, how many problems did you get done in the time interval? That's our permanent product. Graphs. Graphs are very important in ABA. We rely almost exclusively on graphs. Some of us are doing statistical linear regression analysis, but not many of us. Most of us use single subject design of some type. So as a registered behavior technician, you just need to know the basics of the graphs. We're going to cover that today. But if you go on to become a BCBA or further on in psychology or behavior analysis, you'll see all the different kinds of graphs we have. Here's an example of a graph. This is from one of my studies. It's coming out here. Hopefully soon. It's under peer review right now, over in Hamburg, Germany. But there's a couple of things we want to look at here. So generally, graphs are usually in black and white. We don't want to draw any attention to or make people think anything differently by using colors. We try to make it as objective and as aloof as possible. So we'll move on here. This is another example of a graph. This is a latency ISCA functional analysis. So again, it's all in black and white. We let the data speak for itself in ABA. We don't want to try to make anything look different than it actually is. So this is another example of a study. Hopefully I have in peer review here. So again, all in black and white. We have what we call the 5/8 rule, where the graph is supposed to be 5/8 as long as it is tall. A lot of people don't follow that rule. Rick Cabina at Penn State had a great article a few years ago pointing that out. But those are still what we strive to in the White Book. Cooper, Heron, and Heward just renewed just this year. So we have data points that are connected by lines, which again, I'm sure you're. So this is a graph many of you may have not seen before. This is a standard acceleration chart. We don't have time to get into this, but the standard acceleration chart is very powerful. I happen to use it in my own work. Not many behavior analysts do, but especially working in the field of education, we deal with academic recovery programs. We use precision teaching for reading and math, or sometimes writing fluency and accuracy. The standard acceleration chart is the most powerful tool to use in that regard. I know other behavior analysts that use it for other behaviors, but that's primarily what I use it for. So what are all the blue lines, Darren? It's a logarithmic scale. So this behavior literally measures the increase in the acceleration or deceleration of learning. And that's all you need to know for right now. So graphs have certain characteristics. They have a vertical axis up and down, y-axis left and right. The y-axis is always your dependent measure. Your x-axis is your time interval, minutes, sessions, whatever. Then the lines in the graph are condition change lines where we start doing something differently, we make a change. The data points are individual points. We have the data path, which is the lines that connect the data points. And we have our condition labels up top here. So the main thing is time on the bottom, what you measure up and down, and the lines in the middle of the graph are indicators of when we make a change or do something different. Sometimes it's when the intervention begins or ends, or we start with baseline, then we go to intervention. So this is exactly what I was talking about. So we have our baseline, phase change line, then our intervention. So this is the frequency of disruptions. I'm not sure I borrowed this from somebody else, but they're measuring disruptive behavior of some kind, maybe talking out of turn. So when they implemented their intervention, the disruptive behavior went down. And we always look for a measured behavior change. That's what sets us apart from other people in the social sciences and the helping fields. We look for data and objective results. And if we're not getting results, we change what we're doing in a reasonable amount of time. We'll talk about that more in a couple weeks. But we're always looking at data, and the data speaks for itself. So that brings us to observable and measurable behaviors. We create what we call an operational definition. And that's a psychological term for a factual and non-biased description of a behavior. The next few slides are examples from kids that I've worked with in the past. Some of my favorite kids. So I was talking about Bobby Tamardi in my post last week, one of my favorite kids I ever worked with. It's not his real name, that's a pseudonym, but this is Bobby's behavior. He moved his mouth and utters primarily unintelligible sounds. I won't read the whole thing, I'll let you read it. But the important thing here is that anybody can pick up this definition and say, is he doing this behavior or not? We write the behavior across different dimensions of behavior, so frequency, latency, rate, duration, intensity, and the different settings that it occurs in. Violent children I've ever seen in my entire life, but thankfully we got him a lot of help, and he's actually going to be going to college here pretty soon. But again, I'll give you some time here to read through this definition. But again, the key points are it's objective. We don't use words like nothing's coming to mind. So we use factual and descriptive language and factual and descriptive metrics. So Johnny is depressed 3 times a week would not be an operational definition. Johnny walks with his head down for 30 minutes out of the morning. He walks in circles and utters swear words so many times per day that's getting closer to something that would be an operational definition. Here's another one. This kid was a little bit more complicated, but some of you are going to be working with these children on the autism spectrum in the coming years and months. So you will see behaviors like this. So the assignments for this week: post 2 on Blackboard, read chapters 4 and 5, and then the BDS. It's actually a typo. They actually changed the BDS on me. It's updated for the new task list. So it's actually BDS area 02. Then it's questions 01 through 06. But only do the acquisition modules. Do not do the fluency modules yet. So just 1 through 6 acquisition modules only. And it's going to be updated on the website here in a couple minutes. So just quickly in review, if we can see a behavior, we can measure it. If we can measure a behavior, then we can change it. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.